Anywhere you go, you belong. Anywhere you say, anywhere.
Well, we had a fantastic trip. It was a quick one just for the holiday weekend. We're actually leaving, it's Sunday morning, and the strategy behind that is hopefully the traffic is less and the supercharging network is fine. I'm sure it'll be fine, but it should be a better day to travel today than on Memorial Day. So we'll see, but we had a really good time. Some of us are still a little sleepy. It's still early in the morning. All right, so we have 988 miles, about 17 and a half hours. Should get us home right around midnight, but we have to be very efficient to make sure that we hit that time. So charging stops are gonna have to be on time. We are not gonna follow this setup completely because I can see the Ackworth one is 40 minutes. We're not gonna do that. We won't be stopping for an hour at any charger, or 40 minutes for that matter. So gonna make it all the way up, and again, it's doing this route where we go straight north. We may or may not do it. We'll figure that out when we get closer. But our first stop, 116 miles, about an hour and 45 minutes. Should be there about 8 o'clock. I did not have to charge overnight, and we were at 73%. We had plenty of juice, so I didn't worry about it. So we're gonna go ahead and get going and get home. At the first charger, 11% here in Gainesville, Florida. Since the last charge, 136.1 miles, 48 kilowatt hours consumed in a not so great 353 watt hour per mile. Lots of AC in Central Florida. Anyways, supposed to be here for 40 minutes. We're probably not, maybe, possibly, I don't know. We're gonna have breakfast. There's a Starbucks right behind this charger, so I'm gonna get plugged in and we'll figure out from there. All right, so we are finishing up charging, and I wanted to share with you. So we wanted to charge all the way to 90 apparently. So the first half of this charging session was 15 minutes. This last half is 25 minutes. And that is why when we get the question a lot, why do we stop so much and not just charge one long straight leg? Because it just takes so much longer to charge the higher up into the pack you go. So in this case, 25 minutes versus 15 for the same amount of energy being added into the battery pack. That is why we stop more frequently for shorter periods of time. You can see the charge rate's now down to 39 kilowatt. So that is very slow. But on the bright side, I do now get my charging cost, so I can share that with you on the way back home. So that's good. This is a very expensive charger. Actually, this is the most expensive charger on this leg. It's 30 cents a kilowatt, which for you California folks is probably pretty cheap. But for us, that is quite a bit. So this charging session is the most expensive. But anyways, we are almost at 90%, and we have 150 miles to go to get to our next stop, which is Tifton, Georgia. 150 miles, about 2 hours. So 89%, $16.71. Unplugging now. All right, so we made it to Tifton, and we're at 4%. We have a headwind that's really killing our efficiency, but 150.7 miles, 55 kilowatt hours, 367 watt hour per mile. Supposed to be here for 25 minutes. I am going to go ahead and get plugged in, and we're going to take care of some business, get something to eat, snack, restrooms, all that stuff. So getting plugged in now. All right, so we're just about charged up at 71%. I'm going to be taking some time to get some rest because I'm exhausted. I don't know why. I feel so tired. So Heather's going to take over for me for the next leg of the trip. Boys are all squared away. By the way, if you're ever at the Tifton Supercharger, look for a pile of rocks, because the pile of rocks that the boys set up in April on our trip to St. Pete is still there. So that's our boys. They like to play with the rocks. So anyways, let's take a look here. So we're charged at 72%. Does not show me how much. I am so sorry that this is happening. All right, we have 109 miles to go. An hour and a half. Should be there about 12:52 at 18%. So gonna unplug now at 73%. All right, we arrived 14%, 110.6 miles, 351 watt hour per mile. Still have a bit of a headwind that's making us consume a bit more. So we're supposed to be here for 25 minutes and then on to Ackworth, which that's when we'll start changing things up a bit because it's a 40-minute stop. So gonna go ahead and get plugged in and have some lunch while we're here. All right, so we're all charged up 73%. Looks like we will arrive at 20% in Ackworth. So 108 miles, an hour and 45 minutes. Should be there about 3:15. We did lose a little bit of time, but we're gonna get unplugged, 73%. We'll get to Ackworth. All right, so we arrived at Ackworth, 16%, 345 watt hour per mile, 109.2 miles, 38 kilowatt hours consumed. We're supposed to be here for 40 minutes. So I really don't want to do that, but for now, let's just get plugged in and we will take a look at potential options. All right, so let's take a look here. So it wants us to go 180 miles before the next stop. And unfortunately, it looks like Chattanooga is the only thing between here and there. And I know from experience, I do not want to stop at this charger. It is only 6 stalls. Last time we were there, 2 stalls were out of order. It says right here, 1 stall is out of order. So, I'd rather not stop there if I don't have to. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna open up my charging. We are gonna have to stay here for the whole stretch, unfortunately. And the alternative is to go the typical route we take, which is Chattanooga to Nashville and then up to Louisville. This does add a couple of stops, but it is all highway, and technically it could be faster because you're on the highway. Here, this is off the highway, but I think this one time we're gonna go ahead and follow this route and see what we think about it. Just not a fan of 40-minute charging stop, but we might just have to suck it up this one time. Good thing is, decent charging. This is ramping up as we fill up a little bit. I think the charging curve gets us up to the 140s at about 25%. So we'll let it get charged up, stretch our legs a little bit. Some Publix right there. Not really great dining options, but there are a number of options. So. All right, so we're charged up 92%. Still don't know cost of that charging. But nonetheless, we decided to go ahead and just stick with the route. We're going to give it a shot. We should arrive at 12%. It is 180 miles and it will take 3 hours. And the reason is we get off the highway in Chattanooga and this is more of an, I don't know, it's a much slower speed. But the other thing is, I know it's in the mountains, and the other thing you should check if you're not sure, if you go into your energy tab and you click on trip, it'll show you its projection of when it'll arrive and what that looks like on a graph. So when you see these big dips like this, that means you're going up a mountain. When it goes back up, that means you're going downhill. So these are the things you want to look for. If it's very linear and it's straight, you don't really have to worry. It's just all about speed. But for here, you want to make sure you have a little bit of extra just to be safe, because you do not want to run out of charge up in the mountains. And other than that Chattanooga charger, there's nothing else between Chattanooga and Cookeville where we're headed. And we will not know when we hit Chattanooga if we need more energy. So the mountains are really going to hit us up in this stretch, but we're just going to take it easy and make it to Cookeville. All right, so we made it. 182.7 miles, 59 kilowatt hours consumed, 323 watt hour per mile, which is pretty good, but we were driving pretty slow. We're supposed to be here for 35 minutes, but the problem is it is a pretty full station, so we will be splitting charging. This could take some time, so we'll see. All right, we've got enough charge, 84%. We have 169 miles, so another long stretch, 3 hours and 9 minutes. It says it's almost halfway in back roads. So should be at Louisville, which is our last stop, at about 10:30. So we get back on 65 in Cave City, and then Louisville for a small leg, about 30 minutes there it says, and then we'll be home. So gonna go ahead and get unplugged. We'll probably make up some time on this leg. So as it sits right now, it says we'll get there at 10:36 and home at 1:15. So we'll keep an eye on those and see how it ends up doing. All right, some fantastic news. We made it to our last stop, 6%, 170.3 miles, 51 kilowatt hours, 298 watt hour per mile. So we're gonna get plugged in, supposed to be here for 35 minutes to make it home. So gonna go ahead and get plugged in and hopefully have a smooth charge to get out of here. All right, so that last leg was definitely interesting. That is the last time we'll take that route. We are going to continue to use the Nashville route. So for those of you from Chicago or just from the north in general that take 65 south, if you're headed to like Florida or anywhere in the southeast, don't take the recommended route on the nav, especially if you have kids that tend to get car sick. So our oldest, he does get car sick, we're finding out, and he got car sick again. So unfortunately, that didn't work out so well. We also had a pretty adventurous little leg there. I am not one to be known to be pulled over often, but there was an unfortunate situation where somebody was about to turn left and decided last minute not to, and I was already accelerating to pass, so I went off the road to get around them, and they called the police on me as if I was reckless driving or whatever. So anyways, got pulled over, and fortunately the sheriff who pulled me over was pretty cool. I don't think he's ever seen or heard much about a Tesla, because he mentioned that while he was following me, it seemed like I was following too closely to the car in front of me, and I politely told him, I was like, oh, that's weird because I had autopilot on, and he said, wait, you had what on? So it was fun to explain to him how autopilot worked. He was pretty cool, sounded pretty interested, but he didn't even write me a warning or anything. I just explained to him what happened, and he was pretty cool about it. But that route can be fun, and it's very twisty, and that's pretty cool. It's actually really nice views, but just not worth it for the other headaches involved. So you definitely get caught behind people going slower than the speed limit, which can be really annoying when you're traveling long distance. So definitely go the natural route, manually do it. When you get up to Chattanooga, get on 24, and the car will figure out the rest for you. So I believe it's the Manchester Charger that you're headed for when heading north. So that's definitely the better route. All right, it looks like we're charged up enough, 84%. And we have just over 140 miles to go, 146 miles to go, 2 hours and 13 minutes. Should be home before 1:30 a.m. So not terrible. We lost about an hour in all that mess. So that's not all that bad, I guess, considering we're talking about 18 hours. So anyways, gonna go ahead and unplug now. Should be home here soon. All right, so we did make it home last night at about 1:20 in the morning, and I'll provide the screenshots of what the screen had for our total trip. Now, again, the very first leg on the way down, I forgot to reset the trip, so there are a few miles missing, but I'll put that up here somewhere. And at the very end, I'll summarize everything for you, but at least how it looks for after I reset the computer. We're talking 1,926 miles plus about 140, 648 kilowatt hours consumed plus whatever was on that first leg, and an average of 336 watt hour per mile. Now, given that we were going 80, sometimes 85, I'm pretty happy with the efficiency of the car. We have these new tires that we got because of the winter, and when we got them, I was feeling like the efficiency was worse, at least on the previous road trips that we had taken. What it turns out is it just wasn't warm enough out. So we were actually using heat more than we had on previous trips. So now that it's becoming summer, I'm noticing that the efficiency is very comparable to most of the trips we took last year. And our first road trip last year was in May. So we had a lot of summer road trips last year, so very comparable. These tires have been working out great. I don't know how well they're holding up as far as, how long are these things going to last, but they are substantially better in inclement weather, no doubt. They're not any louder than the tires that were on the car when we got it. Anyways, long story short, very glad that we made the decision to get those tires. The trip was fantastic. We had a great time. It was very quick, unfortunately, and it did end up taking about an hour longer to get home than we had planned. So that extra hour was lost in some of our charging stops. A couple of the charging stations were a little bit busy. We didn't have to wait for any of the chargers. However, with V2 charging, if it's full, you've got to split the charging rate, which is unfortunate. So that really cost us some time. And then we also pulled off on a wrong exit at one point. So we did lose a little bit of time there, about a half an hour, 15 minutes to half an hour. We ended up grabbing lunch since we were, off track anyways. We pulled through a drive-through, ate at the supercharger. So overall, very happy with the trip. The car continues to do fantastic. I love road tripping in this Tesla. It's a great car for road tripping. One of the things that's very obvious is this is the first road trip, I believe, that we've taken the double stroller with us, and it takes up a substantial amount of floor space. And without a double stroller, you'll have no problems. With the double stroller, we still didn't have a problem, but you definitely lose some of the available space. And when you're stopping, and if you want to use the back, you've got to move stuff around to get that stroller out of there. So that's kind of annoying. But other than that, everything as usual went so great. We love this car. It's so comfortable. There's no other car that I would want to drive this kind of mileage. There's just no other car that drives like this. Autopilot is fantastic. We do not have full self-driving. I can imagine it would be even better with that, or maybe enhanced autopilot if that does come out. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, give it the thumbs up. It helps out so much. If you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel as we continue to post content regularly. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Bearded Tesla. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.